My name is Rebecca Schaefer. I am an architect with the Alaska Regional Office, and part of my job is to visit some of the remote wilderness parks in Alaska and take a look at the buildings there. For me, a national park is like my own instrument panel. I can step back and take a look at where I'm going too fast. I think there's something about wilderness and diversity. They're so connected that when you're having a wilderness experience, you are experiencing diversity at its best. Building buildings in these remote locations is incredibly complicated, and it takes a lot of work, but I love the challenge. One of the things I really love about Lake Clark is how rural and remote it is, and one of the things I've seen over and over again is people's willingness to help each other. The contractors that are working on the building that I'm going to visit have relied on people in the community for meals and rides. It just seems like everybody's trying to work towards a common goal. If I were the director of the National Park Service, I would start a campaign about the connection between wilderness and diversity, so more people can experience wilderness as grounding, the richness and complexity of it, where diversity is inherent and a gift.
My name is Trooper Snow. I work for the National Park Service, and I'm a U.S. Park Ranger for Denali National Park and Preserve here in Alaska. And I'm assigned to the front country here. I do law enforcement for the front country and go out in the back country occasionally, but mostly stick to the road corridor and front country areas. I think the National Park Service is one of the more diverse agencies in the government, and the government in general is much more diverse than state or local agencies, but I've been fairly impressed with the overall diversity of the National Park Service, and it's never been a problem for me being open or out with being gay in the National Park Service. In all the locations I've worked across the country, it's not been an issue, and I've had really good support from all my supervisors. So it's quite difficult working in a remote area of Alaska being gay. Obviously in a small remote area, it's hard enough as it is to meet people, and being gay, there's a much smaller community of people. However, if you have a good supportive staff and division and you have good days off, I think that's a beneficial thing, and it allows me to have when I have a good schedule, it allows me to take time off and go visit friends in Fairbanks or Anchorage, communities that are not too far away that have a little more of a community.
I currently work for the Alaska Regional Office as an archaeologist, but I've previously worked for Yukon-Charlie Rivers National Preserve and Gates of the Arctic National Preserve up in Fairbanks, and I've also worked for Wrangell-St. Elias National Park and Preserve in Glen Allen. I like working for the National Park Service because integrity is important to me, and I like not having to compromise my values because of my job, and I don't have to compromise who I am because of my job. And I've also learned the importance of having safe spaces throughout my life, and knowing that my workplace is a safe space means a lot to me. What I find most satisfying is that I get to work with a wide variety of people every single day, and it's not just about working with other gay people, but it's about working with people from different economic backgrounds and different educational backgrounds and different ethnic backgrounds and people in different family situations. So it makes me feel good about being myself, knowing that it's okay no matter what. The most challenging thing as far as being gay is that it's not out in the open, and I don't know if my coworkers are gay or not because I don't go around asking them if they're gay. And for example, I didn't know prior to this project that there were several other people who were gay in my office. And to be honest, it was something that concerned me when I came down to interview for this position. I was worried that it would come up in the interview and that I wouldn't get the job if they found out that I was gay. And I also worried that once I got the job, they wouldn't move my partner down with me. So I do try to not be out or open unless I know that it's okay. Well, I grew up in Glen Allen, which is a small, rural, remote community, and Wrangell St. Elias National Park and Preserve is located there. And while I was growing up, there was an employee of the park who came out as transgender and decided to undergo a sex change. And I was surprised as a child that the person didn't get fired, and actually instead the superintendent had the entire staff take a sensitivity training in support of that employee. And as I've learned about being gay and transgender, I've realized how much strength and courage that must have taken that person to come out in that community, and how scary that must have been. And I learned later that that person continued to do extremely well in her career with the National Park Service, and it made me really happy to hear that. Well, in comparison to other organizations and even other federal agencies, I think the National Park Service is at the forefront of diversity and tolerance. But, well, for example, John Jarvis recently came out with a non-discrimination policy that included gender identity and sexual orientation. And when I was a student at the University of Fairbanks, the students there tried to get those words included in the university's non-discrimination policy, and it failed. And Proposition 5 here in Anchorage also just failed. So the Park Service is a leader in that regard. But if you look at the statistics of the general population and see how diverse the general population is, and then you look at the statistics of the National Park Service employees, you would find that they do not match, especially if you look at management positions. So the National Park Service still has a lot of work to do as far as diversity.
Hi, my name is Kyle Pinuv. I am a bear technician at Glacier Bay National Park. I'm also a graduate student working on my thesis on bear populations here in the forelands of Glacier Bay and Gustavus. Coming to Alaska had always been a dream of mine throughout my entire life, and I feel very lucky now that I've been able to fulfill that dream and come here to an extremely open and wonderful community as a gay man here in Southeast Alaska. I hope to continue working for the National Park Service and working in wilderness areas, and I believe that we live in a time where forward thinking is occurring every day. And I encourage anybody and everybody to follow their dreams regardless of any stigma that may surround a place. Thank you.